talk about the candidates' economic plans, in particular their tax plans, but we also want to get your take on the fundraising efforts. In terms of Hillary Clinton's fundraising, we understand that she's already raised almost $500,000. New data shows the former Secretary of State, she goes overseas to raise cash. Look at these numbers, raising a whopping $495,000 from U.S. residents living abroad so far in this election, more than any other candidate. She's also had a lot of fundraisers overseas, places like London, Madrid, etc. What is your take on this, Grover?
Well, it's interesting because traditionally Republicans, there are more Republicans overseas than Democrats. She is outpacing Bernie Sanders and all the Republicans in 2016 raising money overseas. She was the Secretary of State. And that reminds us of the other challenge we have, was the mixing of her official job as Secretary of State and the Clinton Foundation. We now know, because Fitton, who has fought to get all this data out of the State Department, Tom Fitton, that through the Freedom of Information Act, that officials were sending official thank yous to people who had raised money for the Clinton Foundation, letting them know, wink, wink, nudge, nudge, you didn't just give to the Clinton Foundation. Hillary Clinton, Secretary of State, appreciates what you've done. Mixing the power of the government and the Clinton fundraising machine through their foundation is problematic, and what you're also seeing is people who also were asked to give money directly to her campaign.
That seems like it's even, I mean, that seems like it's a worse situation than the email scandal. But we haven't heard a lot about this, the foundation. Do you think this becomes bigger? And why haven't we heard?
They got hundreds of pages, the Judicial Watch got hundreds of pages from FOIAing this information, so there'll be more to look at. And we don't know what we haven't been smart enough to ask for. She hasn't exactly been transparent. She's been quite the opposite. This is a challenge because it keeps happening. You know, if this is the sort of thing that was a problem, you think they'd do a data dump a year ago, and then tell everybody it was old news. That was the old smart Bill Clinton approach during his presidency. They're holding it back, and more of it's coming out closer and closer to election day.
To the election,
and if there isn't anything wrong, why are they hiding it?
Dagan.
Do you think, Grover, though, that this hurts her at all? Are we going to have to wait to get into the head-to-head with the Republican nominee, assuming it will be Donald Trump, given his lead at this point, for it to really matter?
Well, it matters now because you already see the kind of numbers when you ask about character. Can you trust her? Does she lie? And those numbers are way off from where you'd want to be if you're running for president. You want everybody to, I like Ike. You want to be trusted. She doesn't get trusted, and people think she fibs when necessary. It's not just her husband. It's the way she's treated, hiding the emails, and this sort of behavior. And the more it comes out in dribs and drabs, I think the more it just continues to be a growing problem.
Can you separate? I mean, isn't it illegal for foreigners to give money to a candidate? I understand she's trying to get the American citizens living abroad, but how tough is it to separate where the money's coming from?
There are questions about when money comes in on the internet and it's under $200, how is it reported? A great deal of money came in that way during the Obama race. Maybe lots of people wanted to send him $100. But you wonder and worry that somebody wanted to send you $100,000 and just did 1,000 transfers. So there's a hole in the wall there that can be abused. Interesting question, and I think it'll probably get more look at during this race.
Here's Morgan Ortagus.
Good morning, Grover. I'd like to sort of switch this to an economic policy discussion. One of the things that has struck me as very surprising during this campaign is the discussion around free trade. And we're used to Democrats being against trade deals, being against free trade. And now this has crept into the Republican Party, which is very surprising to me. Where do you stand on this? Well,
tariffs are taxes. And for most of American history, prior to the income tax, which didn't come in until 1916, the largest amount of money the federal government got was on tariffs. 30 years before the Civil War, South Carolina called out its militia in opposition to high tariffs, and the government backed down. So tariffs, people remember that tariffs are taxes, and tariffs are paid by American consumers. They're not paid by people in Indonesia. They're paid by American consumers. So I am hopeful that what I'm hearing from Donald Trump and some of the Republicans is, I will negotiate good trade deals, not the labor union position, which is we should not negotiate any trade deals.
Yeah, we're going to talk more about that when we speak with Carlos Ghosn, the head of Nissan and Renault, by the way. But let me ask you this, Grover, because students at Emory University graded a meeting with the school's president after they claimed that they felt threatened by pro-Trump slogans written in chalk on the sidewalk. Now, one student told Bill O'Reilly last night that he was baffled that the president gave in to their demands. Listen to this.
I expected President James Wagner to come out fiercely against this, to stand for First Amendment rights, to stand for this student's right to support one of our two major parties' political candidates, the front runner, and he didn't. I mean, he basically legitimized them.
So we know free speech is getting crushed across universities right now, but now they're actually, getting going against Donald Trump supporters. Anybody who writes anything about Donald Trump, and students are being told, don't do it.
This is a real challenge, the left's attitude that if I don't like what you say, I have the right to shut it down one way or the other. The attack on First Amendment and tolerance, all things that liberals 30, 40 years ago would tell you they supported, that's gone on campus.
Yeah.
And from the left, you're having this very odd position of, you said something I don't like, you must shut up. And, you know, without getting into Nazi analogies, this is just so un-American. And a college professor, and he should have slapped those kids who came in and told them, buy them a free copy of the Constitution and thrown them out the door.
Yeah.
This is a joke.